Welcome back, my brothers and sisters in Christ. A whole nother week has passed, and it is the day of the Sabbath. Not man for the Sabbath, but Sabbath for the man. Today, you already know what day it is, the Sunday reading. Today, we're reading about Job, the book of Job, and his trials and tribulations he went through that is just as close to us, literally. With everything we have and without everything we have. God is always with us. But nevertheless, let's get straight right into it. All right. Chapter 1. Job's pity. In the land of Uz, there was a blameless and upright man named Job, who feared God and avoided evil. 7 sons and 3 daughters were born to him, and he had 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, 500 she-donkeys, and a very large household, so that he was greater than anyone in the East. His sons used to take turns giving feasts, sending invitations to their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. And when each feast had run its course, Job would send for them and sanctify them, rising early and offering sacrifices for every one of them. For Job said, "It may be that my children have sinned and cursed God in their hearts." Job did this habitually. Dang, I mean, he did that every day. So right there, we're just learning from Job, just a little bit of him, you know what I mean? But now we're getting to the interview between the Lord and the Satan. One day, when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, the Satan also came among them. The Lord said to Satan, "Where have you been?" Then the Satan answered the Lord and said, "Roaming the earth and patrolling it." The Lord said to Satan, "Have you noticed my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him, blameless and upright, fearing God and avoiding evil." Then the Satan answered the Lord and said, "Is it for nothing that Job is God-fearing? Have you not surrounded him and his family and all that he has with your protection? You have blessed the work of his hands, and his livestock are spread over the land. But now put forth your hand and touch all that he has, and surely he will curse you to your face." The Lord said to Satan, "Very well, all that he has is in your power. Only do not lay a hand on him." So the Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. The devil's making a bet on Job, saying, if it's not for all of this thing, you think he'd still praise you? You think he still admire you, glorify you? And God was like, all right, shoot, I'll let him. I was like, all right, you can take, like he literally said, take my hands, but do not hurt him. He said, literally, do not lay a hand on him. That's scary. But he let God let the devil really test this man to see if he really loved God for what he did. And that's like us, bro. The devil's making a bet on us that we just go back to him, that we go back to our old ways, our own sinful patterns, and things that the earthly us would be, not what God would want us to be. All right, next one, the first trial. One day, while his sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in the house of their eldest brother, a messenger came to Job and said the oxen were plowing and the donkeys grazing beside them, and the Sabeans carried them off in a raid. Dang, they were stolen. They put the servants to the sword, and I alone have escaped to tell you. Dang, they stick them up with swords. Give us the thing. They put, he was still speaking when another came and said, "God's fire has fallen from heaven and struck the sheep and the servants and consumed them. I alone have escaped to tell you." Lord brought down fire. But that's not the Lord though, right? Right? That's the devil. Literally fire. Devil. And then, okay. He was still speaking and another one came and said, "The Chaldeans formed 3 columns, seized the camels, carried them off, and put the servants to the sword. I alone have escaped to tell you." Took his camels. He was still speaking. Oh, wait. Yeah. He was still speaking when another came and said, your sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their house of their eldest brother. And suddenly a great wind came from across the desert and smashed the four corners of the house. It fell upon the young people and they were dead. I alone have escaped to tell you. Literally, bro, his eldest children were killed, bro. Killed. Job's reaction. Then Job arose and tore his cloak and cut off his hair. He fell to the ground and worshiped. He said, naked I come forth from my mother's womb, and naked shall I go back there. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. In all this, Job did not sin, nor did he charge God with wrong. Amen to that, man. Knowing that all his things been taken away and his children died. Like, the second interview. One day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, the Satan also came with them. The Lord said to the Satan, where have you been? Then the Satan answered, roaming earth and patrolling it. The Lord said to Satan, have you noticed my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him, blameless and upright, fearing God and avoiding evil. He still holds fast to his innocence, although you incited me against him to ruin him for nothing. Wow. I felt the Lord's pain right there. And you could feel his heart hurting. That he, you know what I mean? He let the devil do that. You know what I mean? The Satan answered the Lord and said, skin for skin. All that a man has, he will give you for his life. But put forth your hand and touch his bone and his flesh, then surely he will curse you to your face. And the Lord said to Satan, he is in your power, only spare his life. Wow. That's like, you know what I mean? Skin for skin. That's basically saying that's that. You know what I mean? It is what it is, you know? But it's not that. You know what I mean? Man. All right, let's go. The second trial. So, the Satan, I like how they say the Satan. You know what I mean? Literally meaning. So the Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord and struck Job with severe boils from the soles of his feet to the crown of his head. Boils, bro. So that's like blisters, bro, from heat, bro. Just all over your body like that in an instant. Out of nowhere, you just got it. Like, what the... Job's reaction. He took a potsherd to scrape himself, and as he sat among the ashes, then his wife said to him, are you still holding to your innocence? Curse God and die. But he said to her, you speak as foolish women do. We accept good things from God. Should we not accept evil? Through all this, Job did not sin in what he said. Still praising the Lord, even though he thinks the Lord is punishing him, it's really the devil casting all of these things on him so he can sin and go away from God. Job's 3 friends. Now when 3 of Job's friends heard of all the misfortune they had come upon him, they set out each one from his own place. Ep.5 from Teman, Bildad from Zua, and Sophar from Namath. They met and journeyed together to give him sympathy and comfort. Aww. But when at a distance they lifted up their eyes and did not recognize him, they began to weep aloud. They tore their cloaks and threw their dust into the air over their heads. Then they sat down upon the ground with him 7 days and 7 nights. But none of them spoke a word to him, for they saw how great was his suffering. That's all it takes, bro. You know what I mean? We don't need our friends to come and give us everything that we need for. All we need really is their presence and them just to be there for us. That's as simple as it is that we need of friends. You know what I mean? Not the ones that will buy you things, do this, all these things. The ones that will sit there and just be quiet with you. That's it. You know what I mean? And that's blessed are his friends, because If anything, they're helping him. You know what I mean? Not he's getting pity from them, but he's getting support and comfort from his friends, knowing that it's okay that the Lord's doing this to you when it's the devil. But you know what I mean? Amazing. All right. Chapter 3. Job's complaint. After this, Job opened his mouth and cursed his day. Job spoke out and said, "Perish the day on which I was born, the night when they said, the child is a boy. May that day be darkness. May God above not care for it. May light not shine upon it. May darkness and gloom claim it. Clouds settle upon it. Blackness of day affright it. May obscurity seize that night. May it not be counted among the days of the year, nor enter into the number of the months. May that night be barren. Let no joyful outcry greet it. Let them curse it who curse the sea, those skilled at disturbing Leviathan. May the stars of its twilight be darkened. May it look for daylight but have none, nor gaze on the day's eyes of the dawn, because it did not keep shut the doors of the womb, to shield my eyes from trouble. Why did I not die at birth? Why did I not die at birth? Come forth from the womb and expire. Why did knees receive me or breasts nurse me? For then I should have lain down and been tranquil. Had I slept, I should then have been at rest. With kings and counselors of the earth who rebuilt what were ruins, or with princes who had gold and filled their houses with silver, or was I not buried away like a stillborn child, like babies that have never been seen the light? There the wicked cease from troubling. There the wearied are at rest. The captives are at ease together, and hear no overseas voice. Small and great are there. The servant is free from the master. Why is light given to the toiler's life, to the bitter in spirit? They wait for death, and it does not come. They search for it more than for hidden treasures. They rejoice in it externally, and are glad when they find the grave. A man whose path is hidden from him, whom God has hemmed in. For to me sighing comes from readily than food. My groans well forth like water. For what I have feared overtakes me. What I dreaded comes upon me. I have no peace nor ease. I have no rest, for trouble has come. So finally, Job's complaint, man. Literally cursing everything, bro. Everything. From his birthright to people and food, and why this have lied and this and that. You know what I mean? Chapter 4. Ephai's first speech. Then Ephi and the Temite answered and said, "If someone attempts a word with you, would you mind? How can anyone refrain from speaking? Look, you have instructed many and made firm their feeble hands. Your words have upheld the stumbler, you have strengthened faltering knees, but now it has come to you, you are impatient. When it touches you, you are dismayed. Is not your piety a source of confidence, and your integrity of life your hope? Reflect now, what innocent person perishes? Where are the upright destroyed? As I see it, those who plow mischief and sow trouble will reap them. By the breath of God they perish, and by the blast of his wrath they are consumed. Though the lion roars through, the king of the beast cries out, yet the teeth of the young lions are broken. The old lion perishes for lack of prey, and the cubs of the lioness are scattered. A word was deathly brought to me. My ear caught a whisper of it, and my thoughts during visions of the night, when deep sleep falls on mortals. Fear came upon me, and shuddering that terrified me to the bone. Then a spirit passed before me, and the hair of my body stood on end. It paused, but its likeness I could not recognize. A figure was before my eyes. In silence I heard a voice. Can anyone be in the right than God? Can mortals be more blameless than their Maker? Look, he puts no trust in his servants, and even with his messengers he finds fault. How much more with those who dwell in house of clay, whose foundation is in dust, who are crushed more easily than a moth. Morning or evening they may be shattered. Unnoticed, they perish forever. The pegs of their tent are plucked up. They die without knowing wisdom. Wow, man. So, a Leviathan is a mythical sea monster symbolizing primordial chaos. It is parallel to sea, which was the opponent of Baal and the Euchre legends. You know, profitable. I said it before. But man, this is Ep.5's first speech, you know what I mean? Like, saying pretty much, can anyone be more in right than God? Like, saying this compared to what God, you know what I mean? Chapter 5. Call now. Will anyone respond to you? To which of the holy ones will you turn? Surely impatience kills the fool, and the indignation slays the simpleton. I have seen a fool spreading his roots, but I cursed his household suddenly. May his children be far from safety. May they be crushed at the gate without a rescuer. What they have reaped, may the hungry eat up, or God take away be light, or the thirsty swallow their substance. For not from dust does mischief come, nor from the soil does trouble sprout. Human beings beget mischief as sparks fly upward. In your place I would appeal to God, and to God I would state my plea. He does things great and unsearchable, things marvelous and innumerable. He gives rain upon the earth and sends water upon the fields. He sets up the lowly on the high, and those who mourn are raised to safety. He frustrates the plans of the cunning, so that their heads achieve no success. He catches the wise in their own ruses, and the designs of the crafty are rooted. They meet with great darkness in the daytime. At noonday they grope as they through it at night. Through it were night. But he saves the poor from the sword of their mouth, from the hand of the mighty. Thus the needy have hope, and iniquity close its mouth. Happy the one whom God reproves. The Almighty's discipline do not reject, for he wounds, but he binds up. He strikes, but his hands give healing. Out of 6 troubles he will deliver you, and at the 7th no evil shall touch you. In famine he will deliver you from death, and in war from the power of the sword. From the scourge of the tongue you shall be hidden, and you shall not fear approaching ruin. At ruin and want you shall laugh. The beasts of the earth do not fear. With the stones of the field shall your covenant be, and the wild beasts should be at peace with you. And you shall know that your tent is secure. Taking stock of your household, you shall miss nothing. You shall know that your descendants are many, and your offspring like the grass of the earth. You shall approach the grave in full vigor, as a shark of grain comes in at its season. See, this is we have searched out, so it is. This is we have heard, and you shall know. That's that dude's first speech, man. Literally saying, why are you being like this? And just like trying to give reason about the Lord doing it and how, you know what I mean? It's just like, wow, man. You complain and then someone hears you, like, and they ask you all these things, you know what I mean? A lion perishes for lack of prey, and the cubs of lioness are scattered. That could literally be us old men, our lack of fear, you know what I mean, of the Lord. And our wives are losing their cubs. They're scattered. They're going over it because they can't be one with the family. Dang, a lot is interpreted with this of, you know what I mean, of the Lord and what Ep.5 thinks, you know. And then here's Job's first reply. Then Job answered and said, could my anxious be measured and my calamity lay with it in the scales? They would now outweigh the sands of the sea. Because of this I speak without restraint. For the arrows of the mighty are in me, and my spirits drink in their poison. The terrors of God are arrayed against me. Does the wild donkey bray when it has grass? Does the ox low over its fodder? Can anything insipid be eaten without salt? Is there flavor in the white of an egg? I refuse to touch them. They are like loathsome food to me. Oh, that I might have my request, and that God would grant that I long for. Even that God would decide to crush me, that he would put forth his hand and cut me off. Then I should still have consolation and could exult through unremitting pain, because I have not transgressed the commands of the Holy One. What strength have I that I should endure? And what is my limit that I should be patient? Have I the strength of stones, or is my flesh of bronze? Have I no helper, and has my good sense deserted me? A friend owes kindness to one in despair, though he has forsaken the fear of the Almighty. My companions are undependable as wadi and watercourses that run dry in the wadis? Though they may be black with ice and with snow heaped upon them, yet once they flow, they cease to be in the heat, they disappear from their place. Caravans wander from their routes, they go into the wasteland and perish. The caravans of Tima search, the companies of Sheba have hopes. They are disappointed, though they were confident. They come there and are frustrated. It is thus that you have now become for me. You see a terrifying thing and are afraid, have I said. Give me something, make a bribe on my behalf from your possessions. Or deliver me from the hand of the enemy, redeem me from oppressors. Teach me and I will be silent. Make me understand how I have erred, how painful honest words can be, yet how unconceiving is your argument. Do you consider your words as proof, but the sayings of a desperate man as win? You would even cast lots for the orphan and would barter over your friend. Come now, give me your attention. Surely I will not lie to your face. Think it over. There will be no injustice. Think it over. I still am right. Is there sincerity on my tongue, or cannot my taste discern falsehood? You know what I mean? Like, Job would not complain if his life were as pleasant to him as fodder to a hungry animal, but his life as disagreeable as spitted food, white of an egg. Thus the obscure Hebrew has been understood in Jewish tradition. Some render it as mallow juice. So Tima would be in the northwest of Arabia. Sheba is the home of the Sabines. Dodadri. Wow. You know what I mean? And he's still going. It is not life on earth as dodadri, in which that means is taken by some to refer to military service. Is days like those of hireling, like a slave who longs for the shade, a hireling who waits for wages. So I have been assigned months of futility, and troubled nights have been counted off for me. When I lie down, I say, when shall I arise? Then the night drags on. Am I filled with restlessness until the dawn? My flesh is clothed with worms and scabs. My skin cracks and festers. My days are swifter, than a weaver's shuttle. They come to an end without hope. Remember that my life is like the wind. My eye will not see happiness again. The eye that now sees me shall no more behold me. When your eye is on me, I shall be gone. As a cloud dissolves and vanishes, so wherever goes down to Sheol shall not come up. They shall not return home again. Their place shall know them no more. My own utterance I will not restrain. I will speak in the anguish of my spirit. Anguish? I will complain in the bitterness of my soul. Am I the sea or the dragon, that you place a watch over me? When I say my bed shall comfort me, my couch shall ease my complaint. Then you frighten me with dreams and terrify me with visions, so that I should prefer strangulation and death rather than my existence. I waste away. I will not live forever. Let me alone, for my days are but a breath. What are human beings that you make much of them, or pay them any heed? You observe them every morning, and you try them at every moment. How long before you look away from me and let me alone till I swallow my spit? If I sin, what do I do to you, O watcher of immortals? What have you made me your target? What should I be a burden for you? Why do you not pardon my offense or take away my guilt? For as soon as I shall lay down in the dust, and should you seek me, I shall be gone. Wow, man. He's cursing the Lord, saying, why are you forsaking me? And if you do come look for me, I'm not going to be there. Like, wow, bro. Jeez, man. Here we go, chapter 8. Bildad's first speech. Bildad the Shurite answered and said, how long will you utter such things? The words from your mouth are a mighty wind. Does God pervert judgment? Does the Almighty pervert justice? If your children have sinned against him, and he has left them in the grip of their guilt, still, if you yourself have recourse to God and make supplication to the Almighty, should you be blameless and upright? Surely now he will ruse himself for you and restore your rightful home. Though your beginning was small and your future will flourish indeed, inquire of the former generations, pay attention to the experience of their ancestors. As we are but of yesterday, have no knowledge, because our days on earth are but a shadow. Will they not teach you and tell you and utter their words of understanding? Can the papyrus grow up without mire? Can the reed grass flourish without water? While it is yet green and uncut, it withers quicker than any grass. So is this the end of everyone who forgets God? And so shall the hope of the godless perish? His confidence is but a gossamer thread. His trust is a spider's house. He shall lean upon his house, but it shall not stand. He shall cling to it, but it shall not endure. He thrives in full sun, and over his garden his shoots go forth. About a heap of stones his roots are entwined. Among the rocks he takes hold. Yet if one tears him from his place, it will disown him. I have never seen you. There he lies rotting beside the road, and out of the soil another sprouts. Behold, God will not cast away the upright, neither he will take the hand of the wicked. One more will he fill your mouth with laughter, and your lips rejoicing. Those who hate you shall be clothed with shame, and the tent the wicked shall be no more. Dang, so Blilod's saying, why are you saying such things? Like, why are you saying this stuff? This is not what the Lord would want you to say. All this stuff is just from our ancestors of blamelessness, of just wrongdoings, and just, you know what I mean? And he's just telling them that he can still overcome this. You know what I mean? He can still, even though he's rotting beside the road and out of the soil another sprouts, you know, God will not cast away the upright. And that's him. You know what I mean? He's saying he will not throw you away as you think you are being thrown. You know? Chapter 9, Job's second reply. Then Job answered and said, I know well that is so, but how can anyone be in the right before God? Should one wish to contend with him? He cannot answer him once in 1,000 times. God is wise in heart and the mighty in strength. Who has withstood him and remained whole? He removes the mountains before they know it. He overturns them in his anger. He shakes the earth out of his place, and the pillars beneath it tremble. He commands the sun, and it does not rise. He seals up the stars. He alone stretches out the heavens and trends up the back of the sea. He made the Bear and Orion, the Pleiades, and the constellations of the south. He does things great and unsearchable, things marvelous and innumerable. Should he come near me? I do not see him. Should he pass by? I am not aware of him. Should he seize me forcibly? Who can resist? Who can say to him, what are you doing? He is God, and he does not know relent. The helpers of Rahab bow beneath him. How then could I give him any answer or choose out arguments against him? Even though I were right, I cannot answer, but should rather beg for what was due me. If I appeal to him and he answer me, I cannot believe that he would listen to me. With the storm he might overwhelm me and multiply my wounds for nothing. He would not allow me to draw beneath breath and might fill me with the bitter griefs. If it be a question of strength, he is mighty, or of judgment, who will call him to account? Though I were right, my own mouth might condemn me. Were I innocent, it might put me in the wrong. I am innocent, but I cannot know it. I despise my life. It is all one. Therefore I say, both the innocent and the wicked he destroys. When the scourge slays suddenly, he scoffs at the despair of the innocent. The earth is given into the hands of the wicked. He covers the faces of its judges. If it is not he, who then is it? My days are swifter than a runner. Then they flee away, they see no happiness. They shoot by like skiffs of reed, like an eagle swooping upon its prey. If I say I will forget my complaining, I will lay aside my sadness and be of good cheer. Then I am in dread of all my pains. I know that you will not hold my innocence. Hold me my innocence. Whoa. He's basically questioning his innocence, bro. You know what I mean? If he really is innocent, and if this only just happens to innocence and wicked, but it happening to both, you know? Then I am in dread of all my... Okay. I know that you will not hold me innocent. It is I who will be accounted guilty. When then I should drive in vain? If I should wash myself with soap and cleanse my hands with lye, yet you would plunge me in the ditch, so that my garments would abhor me. For he is not a man like myself, that I should answer him. that we should come together in judgment. Would that there were an arbiter between us, who could lay his hand upon us both and withdraw his rod from me, so that his terrors do not frighten me, that I might speak without being afraid of him, since this is not the case with me. I loathe my life. Wow. So now he's realizing what he's saying, bro. You know what I mean? Can you tell he's realizing what he's saying? He's like, well, maybe God is doing this for both. You know what I mean? Maybe it's not just me. And even though I cleanse myself, he still plunges me in his faith. You know what I mean? Wow, bro. Chapter 10. He keeps going on with his second reply. I will give myself up to complaint. I will speak from the bitterness of my soul. I will say to God, do not put me in the wrong. Let me know why you oppose me. Is it a pleasure for you to oppress, to scorn the work of your hands, and shine on the plan of the wicked? Have you eyes of flesh? Do you see as mortals see? Are your days like the days of mortal, and are your years like a human lifetime? That you seek for guilt in me and search after my sins? Even though you know I am not wicked, and that none can deliver me out of your hand. Your hands have formed me and fashioned me. Will you then turn and destroy me? Oh, remember that you fashioned me from clay. Will you then bring me down to dust again? Do you not pour me out like milk and thicken me like cheese? With skin and flesh you clothe me, with bones and sinews knit me from together. Life and love you granted me, and your providence has preserved my spirit. Yet these things you have hidden in your heart. I know that they are your purpose. If I should sin, you would keep a watch on me, and from my guilt you would not absolve me. If I should be wicked, alas for me. Even if righteous, I dare not uphold my head. Sated with shame, drenched in affliction, should it lift it up, you hunt me like a lion. Repeatedly you show your wondrous power against me. You renew your attack upon me, and multiply your harassment of me. In waves of your troops come against me. Why then did you bring me forth from the womb? I should have died, and no eye have seen me. I should have been as though I have never lived. I should have been taken from the womb to the grave. Are not my days few? Stop! Let me alone, that I may recover a little. Before I go whence I shall not return, to the land of darkness and of gloom, the dark disordered land where darkness is the only light. Wow, bro. Job is saying darkness is the only light. You know what I mean? And he's literally saying, like, if you were granting me all these things, giving me all these things, all this love, this perseverance, all this righteousness, and he just, like, he's getting punishment, he thinks, but it's the devil testing him, bro. He's saying that he shouldn't even be born. You know what I mean? And that no one should even saw him. You know what I mean? That we feel like that a lot. You know what I mean? We feel like we may not even be born and we're not accepted by certain people. But you know what, bro? You don't need to be accepted by them. The only person that accepts you and who knitted you in the womb is God and Jesus, bro. They accept you for who you are. And they know that we're sinners because of Adam and Eve, our original sin. But he still loves us, and he's still trying with us to this very day, you know? And then Zophar's first speech. And Zophar the Naamorite answered and said, should not many words be answered, and must the glorious man necessarily be right? Shall your babblings keep others silent, and shall you deride and no one give rebuke? Shall you say, my teaching is pure, and I am clean in your sight? But oh, that God would speak and open his lips against you, and you tell the secrets of wisdom, and for good sense has two sides. So you might learn that God overlooks some of your sinfulness. Can you find out the depths of God, or find out the perfection of the Almighty? It is higher than the heavens. What can you do? It is deeper than Sheol. What can you know? It is longer than the earth in measure, and broader than the sea. If he should seize and imprison or call to judgment, who then could turn him back? If he knows the worthless and sees iniquity, will he then ignore it? An empty head will gain understanding. When a colt of a wild jackass is born human heart, if you set your heart aright and stretch out your hands toward him, if iniquity is in your hand and remove it, and do not let injustice dwell in your tent, surely then you may lift up your face in innocence. Ooh, I like that. He's basically saying, bro, if all this is not what it is, and you lift up your face in innocence, you may stand firm and unafraid. Then you are, For then you shall forget your misery. Like water that has ebbed you away, you shall regard it. Then your life shall be brighter than the noonday. It is gloom shall become like the morning, and you shall be secure because there is hope. You shall look around you and lie down in safety. You shall lie down and no one will disturb you. Many shall entreat your favor, but the wicked looking on shall be consumed with envy. Escape shall be cut off from them, their only hope, their last breath. Dang, bro. So far speech is, you know what I mean? Just telling him, bro. Like, you know what I mean? What is God's, how deep can God go? You know what I mean? Like the depths. Like, can you really find out? Like, obviously, if you're going through all this and, you know what I mean? There's a reason why you're going through all this, and he's saying for all those people that are complaining against him or will hurt him or anything, they won't. You know what I mean? They still won't, even if somehow he's being wicked. Job's third reply. Then Job answered and said, No doubt you are the people with whom wisdom shall die, but I have intelligence as well as you. I do not fall short of you, for who does not know such things as these? I have become the sport of my neighbors, the one whom God answers when he calls upon him. The just, the perfect man is a laughing stock. The undisturbed esteem my downfall a disgrace, such as awaits unsteady feet. Yet the tents of robbers are prosperous, and those who provoke God are secure, whom God has in his power. But now ask the beast to teach you, and the birds of the air to tell you, or speak to the earth to instruct you, and the fish of the sea to inform you. Which of all of these does not know that the hand of God has done this? Wow, bro. Wow, bro. It's hard to really get to fully understand what he's saying, bro. But he's saying your guys' wisdom shall die, you know what I mean? He doesn't fall short of you, so how could he fall short of the Lord, He literally said, I had become the sport of my neighbors. So basically saying they're watching him, you know what I mean? He became a laughing stock to them, you know what I mean? So then he thinks the perfect man is a laughing stock, which is not true. Let's go on. In his hand is the soul of every living thing, and the life breath of all mortal flesh. Does not hear judge words as the mouth tastes his food. So with old age is wisdom, and with length of days understanding. With him are wisdom and might. His are counsel and understanding. If he knocks a thing down, there is no rebuilding. If he imprisons, there is no release. If he holds back the waters, and there is drought, he sends them forth, and they overwhelm the land. With him are strength and prudence, and misled, and the misleaders are his. He sends counselors away barefoot, makes fools of judges. He loosens the belt of kings, ties the waistcloth on their loins. He sends priests away barefoot, leads the power astray. He silences the trusted advisers, takes discretion from the elders. He pours shame on nobles. The waistband of the strong he loosens. He uncovers deep things from the darkness, brings the gloom into the light. He makes nations great and destroys them, spreads peoples abroad and abandons them. He takes understanding from the leaders of the land, makes them wander in a pathless desert. They grope in the darkness without light. He makes them wander like junk words. Wow, bro. Job's third reply. You know what I mean? Whew. Let's keep going. Chapter 13. All this my eye has seen, my ear has heard and perceived it. What you know I also know. I do not fall short of you, but I would speak with the Almighty. I want to argue with God, but you gloss over falsehoods, and you are worthless physicians, every one of you. Oh, that you would be altogether silent, that for you would be wisdom. Hear now my argument, and listen to the accusations from my lips. Is it for God that you speak falsehood? Is it from him that you utter deceit? Is it for him that you show partiality? Do you make accusations on behalf of God? Will it be well when he shall search you out? Can you deceive him as well you do a mere human being? He will openly rebuke you if in secret you show partiality. Surely his majesty will frighten you, and dread of him fall upon you. Your reminders are Ashley Maxons, your fabrication mounds of clay. Be silent. Let me alone that I may speak. No matter what happens to me, I will carry my flesh between my teeth and take my life in my hand. Slay me though he might, I will wait for him. I will defend my conduct before him. This shall be my salvation. No imperious man can come into his presence. Pay attention to my speech. Give my statement a hearing. Behold, I have prepared my case. I know that I am in the right. If anyone can make a case against me, then I shall be silent and expire. Two things only do not use against me. Then from your presence I do not need to hide. Withdraw your hand far from me. Do not let the terror of you frighten me. Then call me, and I will respond. Or let me speak first and answer me. What are my faults and my sins? My misdeed, my sin make me known to me. Why do you hide your face and consider me your enemy? Will you harass a wind-driven leaf or pursue a withered straw? For you draw bitter indictments against me and punish me in my faults and my oath. You put my feet in the stocks. You watch all my paths and trace out all my footsteps. Though I wear out like a leather bottle, like a garment the moth has consumed. Wow, man. He's still going. You know what I mean? He's actually trying to turn back now. You know what I mean? Man born of woman is short-lived and full of trouble. Like a flower that springs up and fades, swift as shadow that does not abide. Upon such a one will you set your eyes, bringing me into judgment before you. Can anyone make the unclean clean? No one can. Since his days are determined, you know the number of his months. You have fixed the limit in which he cannot pass. Look away from him and let him be wild like a hireling. He completes his day. For a tree there is hope, for if it is cut down, it will sprout again. Its tender shoots will not cease. Even though its roots grow old in the earth and its stump die in the dust, yet at the first whiff of water it sprouts and puts forth branches like a young plant. But when a man dies, all vigor leaves him. When a mortal expires, where then is he? As then when the waters of a lake fail, or a stream shrivels and dries up, so mortals lie down never to rise until the heavens are no more. They shall not awake, nor be roused out of their sleep, or that you should hide from me and shelter me till your wrath is past. Fix the time to remember me. For a man to die and live again, all the days of drudgery I would wait. For my leave to come, you would call, and I would answer you. You would long for the work of your hands. Surely then you would count my steps and not keep watch for sin in me. My misdeeds would be sealed up in a pouch, and you would cover over my guilt. Mountains will fall and crumble. Rocks move from their place, and waters wears away stone, and floods wash away the soil of the land. So you destroy the hope of mortals? You prevail once for all against them and pass on. You dismiss them with changed appearance. If their children are honored, they are not aware of it, or if disgraced, they do not know about them. Only for themselves, their pain, only for themselves, their mourning. All right, and then here's second speech of Ep.5. Then Ep.5 the Timonite answered and said, Does a wise man answer with windy opinions, or puff himself up with the east wind? Does he argue in speech that does not avail, and in words that are to no profit? You in fact do not do away with piety, you lessen devotion towards God, because your wickedness instructs your mouth, and you chose to speak like the crafty. Your own mouth condemns you, not I. Your own lips refute you. Where you first to be born, where you were brought forth before the hills, do you listen in on God's counsel and restrict wisdom to yourself? What do you know that we do not know, or understand that we do not? There are gray-haired old men among us, more advanced in years than your father. Are the consolations of God not enough for you, and the speech that dwells gently with you? Why does your heart carry you away, and why does your eyes flash, so that you turn your anger against God and let such words escape your mouth? How can any mortal be blameless, anyone born of woman be righteous? If in his holy ones God places no confidence, and if the heavens are not without blame in his sight, how much less is the abominable and corrupt? People who drink iniquity like water. I will show you. If you listen to me, what I have seen I will tell you. what the wise relate and have not contradicted since the days of their ancestors, to whom alone the land was given, when no foreigner moved among them. The wicked is in the torment of all his days, and limited years are in store for the ruthless. The sound of terrors is in his ears. When all is prosperous, a spoiler comes upon him. He despairs of escaping the darkness and looks ever for the sword. A wanderer, food for vultures, he knows the destruction is imminent. A day of darkness fills him with dread, distress, and anguish. Overpower him like a king unexpecting attack. Because he was stretched out his hands against God and arrogantly challenged the Almighty, rushing defiantly against him with the stout bosses of his shield, although he has covered his face with his crassusness, paddled his loins with blubber, he shall dwell in ruined cities, in houses that are deserted, crumbling into rubble. He shall not be rich, his possessions shall not endure, his property shall not spread over the land. A flame shall swear his early growth, and with the wind his blossoms shall disappear. Let him not trust in his height, misled even though his height might be like the palm tree. He shall wither before his time, and his branches no longer green. He shall be like a vine that sheds its grapes unwritten, like an olive tree casting off its blossom. For the breed of the imperious shall be sterile, and fire shall consume the tents of extortioners. They conceive malice, bring forth deceit, give birth to fraud. Wow, man. Sorry, I had a notification. Whew. You could literally see all the good he's talking about, and now he's saying all the bad about, you know what I mean? You shall not be rich, and his possession shall not endure. You know what I mean? And this is what he's saying, all his good things, and then literally all the bad stuff that's going to happen if you do not talk what you're talking about. Stop talking what you're saying. Job's fourth reply. Then Job answered and said, I have heard this sort of thing many times. Troublesome comforters, all of you. Is there no end to windy words? What sickness makes you rattle on? I could talk as you do. Were you in my place, I could declaim over you and wag my head at you. I could strengthen you with talk, with mere chatter give relief. If I speak, my pain does not relieve. If I stop speaking, nothing changes. But now he has exhausted me. You have stunned all my companions. You have shriveled me up. It is a witness. My gauntness rises up to testify against me. His wrath tears and assails me. He gnashes his teeth against me. My enemy looks daggers at me. They gape at me with their mouths. They strike me on the cheek with insults. They are all enlisted against me. God has given me over to the imperious. Into the hands of the wicked he has cast me. I was in peace, but he dislodged me, seized me by the neck, dashed me to pieces. He has set me up for a target. His arrows strike from all directions. He pierces my sides without mercy, pours out my gall upon the ground. He pierced me thrust upon thrust, rushes at me like a warrior. I have sewn sackcloth on my skin, laid my horn low in the dust. My face is inflamed with weeping. Darkness covers my eyes. Although my hands are free from violence and my prayer sincere, O earth, do not cover my blood, nor let my outcry come to rest. Even now my witness is in heaven, my advocate is on high. My friends, it is who wronged me. Before God my eyes shed tears, that justice may be done for a mortal with God. As for a man with his neighbor, for my years are numbered, and I go to the road of no return. Dang, man, he's still talking down, you know what I mean, on the Lord, you know what I mean? He's saying the Lord is coming at him like that, and that he was innocent, and then out of nowhere, the Lord's coming at him for no reason, and you know what I mean? That's the devil, bro. God would not do that to you, bro. He will not do that to you. All right, chapter 17. My spirit is broken, my days finished, my burial at hand. Surely mockers surround me at their provocation. My eyes grow dim. Put up a pledge for me with you. Who is there to give surety for me? You darken their minds to acknowledge. Therefore, you will not exalt them. For a share of property he informs on friends. While the eyes of his children grow dim, I have made a byword of the people. I am one at whom people spit. My eyes are blind with anguish, and my whole frame is like a shadow. The upright are astonished at this. The innocent arouse against the wicked, and the righteous holds to his way. The one with clean hands increases in strength. But turn now and come on again. I do not find a wise man among you. My days pass by. My plans are at an end. The yearning of my heart, they will change the night into day. Where there is darkness, they talk of approaching light. If my only hope is dwelling in Sheol and spreading my couch in darkness, if I am to say to the pit, you are my father, and to whom my mother, my sister, where then is my hope? My happiness can see it. Will they descend with me into Sheol? Shall we go down together into the dust? Wow, bro. Okay. Bildad's second speech. Then Bildad the Shuhite answered and said, when will you put an end to words? Reflect, and then we can have discussion. Why are we accounted like beasts, equal to them in your sight? You who tear yourself in your anger, shall the earth be neglected on your account, or the rock be moved out of its place? Truly the light of the wicked is extinguished. The flame of his fire casts no light. In his tent light is darkness, and the lamp above him goes out. His vigorous steps are hemmed in his own counsel. Cast him down. A net catches him by the feet, and he wanders into a pitfall. A trap seizes him by the heel. A snare lays hold of him. A noose is hidden from him on the ground, and a netting for him on the path. On every side terrors frighten him, that harry him on each step. His strength is famished. Disaster is ready at his side. His skin is eaten by the limbs. The firstborn of death eats his limbs. He is plucked from the security of his tent and marched off to the king of terrors. Fire lodges in his tent. Over his abode brimstone is scattered. Below, his roots dry up, and above his branches wither. His memory perishes from the earth, and he has no name in the countryside. He is driven from the light into darkness and banished from the world. He has neither offshoot nor offspring among his people, no survivor where once he dwelt. Those who come after shall be upheld at his faith. Those who went before are seized with horror. So it is then with the dwelling of the impious. Such is the place of the one who does not know God. Then Job answered, his fifth reply, how long will you afflict my spirit, grind me down with words? These 10 times you have humiliated me, have assailed me without shame. Even if it were true that I am at fault, my fault will remain with me. If truly you exalt yourselves at my expense and use my shame as an argument against me, know that it is God who has dealt unfairly with me and compassed me around with his net. If I cry out violence, I am not answered. I shout out for help, but there is no justice. He has barren my way, and I cannot pass, veiled my path in darkness. He has stripped me of my glory, taken the diadem from my brow. He breaks me down on every side, and I am gone. He has uprooted my hope like a tree. He has kindled his wrath against me. He counts me one of his enemies. His troops advances on one. They build up their road to attack me, and camp around my tent. My family has withdrawn from me. My friends are woefully estranged. My relatives and companions neglect me. My guests have forgotten me. Even my maid servants consider me a stranger. I am a foreigner in their sight. I call my servant, but he gives no answer. Though I plead aloud with him, my breath is abhorrent to my wife. I am loathsome to my very children. Even young children despise me. When I appear, they speak against me. All my intimate friends hold me in horror. Those who I have loved have turned against me. My bones cling to my skin, and I have escaped by the skin of my teeth. Pity me, you my friends, for the hand of God has struck me. Why do you pursue me like God and prey incessantly upon me? Oh, would that my words were written down? Would that they were inscribed in a record? That with an iron chisel and with lead they were cut into the rock forever. As for me, I know that my vindicator lives, and that he will at last stand forth upon the dust. This will happen when my skin has been stripped off, and from my flesh I will see God, and I will see for myself. My own eyes, not others, will behold him. My inmost being is consumed with longing. But you say, how shall we persecute him, seeing that the root of the matter is found in him? Be afraid of the sword for yourselves, for your anger is a crime deserving the sword, and that you may know that there is a judgment. Wow, man. Jeez, bro. Job is spitting some facts, bro. But this is just his complaint. You know what I mean? And his reply to what he said his complaint was. And then Sophri's second speech. Then Sophri the Nimrite answered and said, so now my thoughts provide an answer for me because of the feelings within me? I rebuke that puts me to shame I hear, and from any understanding the Spirit gives me a reply. Do you not know this from of old, since human beings were placed upon the earth? The triumph of the wicked is short, and the joy of impious for a moment. Though his pride mount up to the heavens, and his head reach to the clouds, yet he perishes forever like the dung he uses for fuel, and onlookers say, where is he? Like a dream he takes flight and cannot be found. He fades away like a vision of the night. The eye which he saw him does not so no more, nor shall his dwelling again behold him. His sons will restore to the poor, and his hands will yield up his riches. Though his bones are full of youthful vigor, it shall lie with him in dust. Though wickedness is sweet in his mouth, and he hides it under his tongue, though he retains it and will not let go, but keeps it still within his mouth, yet in his stomach the food shall turn, and it shall be venom of his insides in him. The riches he swallowed he shall vomit up. God shall make his belly disgorge him, and the poison of asp he shall drink in. The viper's fangs shall slay him. He shall see no streams of oil, no torrents of honey or milk. He shall give back his grains, never used, like his profit from trade, never enjoyed, because he has oppressed and neglected the poor, and stolen a house he did not build. For he has known no quiet in his greed, and his treasure he cannot save himself. None of his survivors will consume it, therefore his prosperity shall not endure. When he has more than enough, distress shall be his. Every sort of trouble shall come upon him. When he has filled his belly, God shall send him against the fury of his wrath, and rain down his missiles upon him. Should he escape an iron weapon, a bronze bow which shall pierce through him, a dart shall come out of his back, a shining point of his gallbladder tears fall upon him. Complete darkness is in store for his treasured ones, and fired unfanned shall consume him. Any survivor in his tent shall be destroyed. The heavens shall reveal his guilt, the earth shall rise up against him. The flood shall sweep away his house, torrents in the days of God's anger. This is the portion of the wicked, the heritage appointed him by God. I had to go to work, so I'm gonna pause this video, and then we're gonna continue right on to where we left off. And yeah, in Jesus' name. Back from my break. You know what I mean? Sorry for a little transition, but Job 6 reply. This is his 6th reply. So obviously, they're just having a conversation, and they're just really seeing what's going on with Job and why he's having this, why he's questioning God and questioning himself and questioning everything around him and even the existence of human beings. But let's get right into it. Then Job answered and said, at least listen to my words, and let that be the consolation you offer. Bear with me while I speak, and after I have spoken, you can mock. Is my complaint toward any human being? Why should I not be impatient? Look at me and be appalled. Put your hands over your mouths. When I think of it, I am dismayed, and shuddering seizes my flesh. Why do the wicked keep on living, grow old, become mighty in power? Their progeny is secure in their sight. Their offspring are before their eyes. Their homes are safe without fear, and the rod of God is not upon them. Their bulls breed without fail. Their cows calf and do not miscarry. They let their young run free like sheep, and let their children skip about. They sing along with drum and lyre, and make merry to the sound of the pipe. They live out their days in prosperity, and tranquilly go down to Sheol. Yet they say to God, depart from us, for we have no desire to know your ways. What is the Almighty that we should serve him? And what do we gain by praying to him? Their happiness is not their own hands. The designs of the wicked are far from me. How often is the lamp of wicked put out? How often does destruction come upon them? The portion of God allows in his anger? Let them be straw before the wind, like chaff the storm carries away. God is storing up the man's misery for his children. Let him requite the man himself so that he knows it. Let his own eyes behold his calamity. and the wrath of the Almighty let him drink. For what interest has he and his family after him, when the number of his months is finished? Can anyone teach God knowledge, and seeing that he judges those on high? One dies in his full regard, holy, at ease and content. His figure is full and nourished. His bones are most moist with marrow. Another dies with a bitter spirit, never having tasted happiness. Alike they lie down in the dust, and worms cover them both. See, I know your thoughts. Dang, that one's deep. He's talking about either way, bro. You know what I mean? Either way, we lie down in worms. Either way, we all die. No matter rich, poor, middle class, we all die. And the arguments you plot against me, for you say, where is the house of the great, and where the dwelling place of the wicked? Have you not asked the wayfarers, and do you not acknowledge the witness they give? On the day of calamity, the evil man is spared. On the day that wrath is released, who will charge him to his face about his conduct? And for what he has done, who will repay him? He is carried to the grave, and at his tomb they keep watch. Sweet to him are the clods of the valley. All humankind will follow after him, and countless others before him. How empty the consolation you offer me. Your arguments remain a fraud. Dude, is Job talking about Jesus? He is carried to the grave. And at his tomb they will keep watch. Sweet to him are the clods of the valley. All humankind will follow after him, and countless others before him. So he could either be saying Jesus or God right now, but from the looks of it, looks like Jesus, bro. Go on. All right, chapter 22. Elijah's third speech. Then Elijah the Timonite answered and said, can a man be profitable to God? Can a wise man be profitable to him? Does it please the Almighty that you are just? Does he gain if your ways are perfect? Is it because of your piety that he reproves you, that he enters into judgment with you? Is it not your wickedness great, your increase endless? You keep your relatives' goods in pledge unjustly, leave them stripped naked of their clothing. To the thirsty you give no water to drink, and from the hungry you withhold bread, as if the land belonged to the powerful and only the privileged could dwell in it. You sent widows away empty-handed, and the resources of orphans are destroyed. Therefore snares are around about you. Sudden terror make you panic, or darkness you cannot see. A dudge of water covers you. Does not God in the heights of the heavens behold the top of the stars, hide through they are? Yet you say, what does God know? Can he judge through the thick darkness? Clouds hid him so that he cannot see as he walks around the circuit of the heavens. Do you indeed keep to the ancient way trodden by the worthless? They were snatched before their time, their foundations a river swept away. They said to God, let us alone, and what can Almighty do to us? Yet he filled their houses with good things. The designs of the wicked are far from me. The just look on and are glad, and the innocent deride them. Truly our enemies are destroyed, and what was left to them fire has consumed. Settle with him and have peace. That way good shall come to you. Receive instruction from his mouth, and place his words in your heart. If you return to the Almighty, you will be restored. If you put iniquity far from your tent, and treat raw gold as dust, the fine gold of Orhi as pebbles in the wadi, then the Almighty himself shall be your gold, and your sparkling silver. For then you shall delight in the Almighty. You shall lift up your face towards God, entreat him, and he will hear you, and your vows you shall fulfill. What you decide shall succeed for you, and upon your ways light shall shine. For when they are brought low, you will say it is pride. But downcast eyes he saves. He will deliver whoever is innocent. You shall be delivered if your hands are clean. Wow. So now after, you know what I mean? He's saying that you do all these things, but then you don't give no water to these things, to people. And then right now at the end, it seems like he's telling him to go to God. You know what I mean? Go repent for what you do, for what you did, and talk to him, and he will deliver you, whoever is innocent. You know what I mean? God's not punishing him. You know what I mean? The devil is in God's place right now because God said to test him. So, man, this is crazy. But Let's go on. You know what I mean? Job's seventh reply. Then Job answered and said, Today especially my complaint is bitter. His hand is heavier upon me, and my groanings. Would that I knew how to find him, and that I might come to his dwelling. I would set out my case before him, fill my mouth with arguments. I will learn the words he would answer me, understand what he said to me. He would say to me, would he contend against me with his great power? No, him himself will heed me. There an upright man might argue with him, and I would once and for all be delivered from my judge. But if I go east, he is not there, or west, I cannot perceive him. The north enfolds him, and I cannot catch sight of him. The south hides him, and I cannot see him. Yet he knows my way. If he tested me, I should come forth like gold. My foot has always walked in his steps. I have kept his way and not turned aside. From the commands of his lips I have not departed. The words of his mouth I have not treasured in my heart. I have treasured in my heart. But once he decides, who can contradict him? What he desires, that he does, for he will carry out what is appointed for me, and many such things he has in store. Therefore I am terrified before him. When I take thought, I dread him, for it is God who has made my heart faint, the Almighty who has terrified me. Yes, would that had vanished in the darkness, hidden by the thick gloom before me. Chapter 24. Wow. You know what I mean? Now he's feeling sad, you know what I mean? Now, you know what I mean? He's rethinking everything and trying to take thought of what he just said and really realize and be like, no, it's not like that. You know what I mean? Chapter 24. Why are times not set by the Almighty, and why do his friends not see his days? People remove landmarks, they steal herds and pasture them. The donkeys of orphans they drive away. They take the widow's ox for a pledge. They force the needy off the road. All the poor of the land are driven into hiding. Like wild donkeys in the wilderness, they go forth to their task of seeking prey. The steppe provides food for their young. They harvest fodder in the field, and glean in the vineyard of the wicked. They pass the night naked, without clothing. They have no covering against the cold. They are drenched with rain from the mountains, and for want of shelter they cling to the rock. Orphans are snatched from the breast. Infants of the needy are taken in pledge. They go about naked, without clothing, and famished they carry the sheaves. Ooh, sounds like certain girls today. Between the rows they pass out the oil. They treat the wine presses, yet are thirsty. In the city the dying groan, and the souls of the wounded cry out, yet God does not treat it as a disgrace. They are rebels against the light. They do not recognize its ways. They do not stay in its paths. When there is no light, the murderer rises to kill the poor and the needy. In the night he acts like a thief. The eye of the adulterer watches for the twilight. He says, no eye will see me. He puts a mask over his face. In the dark he breaks into houses. By day they shut themselves in. They do not know the light. Indeed, for all of them morning is deep darkness. Then they recognize the terrors of deep darkness. He is swift. He is swift. Yeah, he is swift on the surface of the water. Their portion in the land is accursed. They do not turn aside by the way of the vineyards. Drought and heat snatch away the snow waters. Shield those who have sinned. May the womb forget him. May the worm find him sweet. May he no longer be remembered, and may wickedness be broken like a tree. May his companion be barren, unable to give birth. May his widow not prosper. He sustains the mighty by his strength. To him who rises without assurance of his life, he gives safety and support, and his eyes are on their ways. They are exalted for a while, and then are no more. Laid low like everyone else, they are gathered up. Like ears of grain, they shrivel. If this be not so, who can make me a liar and reduce my words to nothing? Wow, bro. You know what I mean? Like Job's confident desire to confront God. You know what I mean? And like his fears, he gives away to his dark night. God's absent, which also terrifies him. You know what I mean? And then after his failure to find God, Job takes up the question, why does God not favor his friends by the speedy punishment of his enemies? You know what I mean? This verse continues his description of the plight of the poor. You know what I mean? Of him describe more of the poor, and they may belong there. This verse is a variant and may be erroneous scribble repetition. It is kind of repetitive, you know what I mean? Because he's talking about the same thing over and over again, just different words. And why is it that way? You know what I mean? And these verses are inconsistent with Job's views elsewhere. Moreover, they are in general poorly preserved and in some cases obscure. Yeah, because I don't like. It is obscure why he's talking like this. You know what I mean? Let's keep going. All right. Balad's third speech. All right. So this is Balad now. Then Balad the Shurite answered and said, Dominion and dread are his. Who brings about harmony in his heavens? Is there any numbering of his troops? Yet on which of them does his light not rise? How can anyone be in the right against God? Or how can anyone born of a woman be innocent? Even the moon is not bright, and the stars are not clean in his eyes. How much less a human being who is but a worm, a mortal who is only a maggot? Dang, this bro's like talking down on us, bro. And then then Job answered and said, What help you give to the powerless? What strength to the feeble arm? Have you give counsel to one without wisdom? How profuse is the advice you offer? With whose help have you uttered those words? Whose breath comes forth from you? The shades beneath wither in terror, the waters and their inhabitants. Naked before him is Sheol, and Abaddon has no covering. He stretches out Sephron over the void, and suspends the earth over nothing at all. He binds up the waters in his clouds, yet the cloud is not split by their weight, yet holds back the appearance of the full moon. By spreading his clouds before it, he has marked out a circle on the surface of the deep, as the boundary of light and darkness. The pillars of the heavens tremble and are stunned at his thunderous rebuke. By his power he stilled sea. By his skill he brushed Rahab. By his wind the heavens were made clear. His hand pierced the fleeing serpent. Lo, these are but the outlines of his ways, and what a whisper of a word we hear of him. Who can comprehend the thunder of his power? And then Job's reply. Job took up this theme again and said, As God lives, who takes away my right, the Almighty, who has made my life bitter, for so long I still have life breath in me, and the breath of God in my nostrils. My lips shall not speak falsehood, nor my tongue utter deceit. Far be it from me to account you right. Till I die, I will not renounce my innocence. My justice I maintain, and I will not relinquish it. My heart does not reproach me for any of my days. Let my enemy be as the wicked, and my adversary as the unjust. For what hope has the imperious when he is cut off? When God requires his life, will God then listen to his cry when distress comes upon him? If he delights in the Almighty and calls upon God constantly, I will teach you what is in God's hand, and the way of the Almighty I will not conceal. Look, you yourselves have all seen it. Why do you spend yourselves in empty words? This is the portion of the wicked with God, the heritage oppressors receive from the Almighty. Whew. Like at this point, instruction in the dialogue disappears. Balad's speech is very short, and their following two speeches attributed to Job with significantly different introductions. You know what I mean? To chapter 27. Verse 1, and then chapter 29, with no intervening third speech of Zophar. So Zophar is not even in this one yet. His troops. So when he's saying his troops, bro, he's saying the heavenly host, our army, the stars, later understood as angels. So he's talking about angels in this one over him. You know what I mean? Perhaps to be read as Job's reply to Balad's short speech. Shades, the dead in Sheol. So the dead in Sheol, the netherworld. So basically saying the dead. And then Sheol, note. Abaddon, Hebrew. Abaddon is Hebrew for a place of destruction. A synonym for netherworld. So pretty much the same thing, but just a synonym. And then And then Siphon is the north, used here as synonym for the firmament, the heavens. So the heavens is Siphon. See, their English is so different compared to ours, you know. Circle, the horizon of the ocean, which serves the boundary of the activity of light and darkness, which is chapter 26, verse 10. And then chapter 26, verse 12, Rahab, another name for the primal sea monster. So it's a sea monster. And the fleeing serpent, you know what I mean, occurs and they'll push into Lephon. As God lives, far be it, Job affirms two oaths about his innocence by the very God whom he is accused of violating his right, such as the paradoxical situation of a tortured person who cannot give the lie to his personal justice, but also refuses to renounce God. He dares God to be just as he. Job understands this. These verses are inconsistent with Job's reuse elsewhere and may be a part of a missing speech of Zophar. Or possibly there are an ironic description of the fate of the three friends. Alright, so back into it. Though his children be many, the sword awaits them. His descendants shall want for bread. His survivors shall be buried in death. Their widows shall not weep. Though he heap up silver like dust, and store away mounds of clothing, what he has stored the righteous shall wear, and the innocent shall divide the silver. He builds his house as of cobwebs, or like a booth put up by a watchman. He lies down a rich man one last time. He opens his eyes, nothing is there. Terrors flood over him like water. At night the tempest carries him off. The east wind seizes him and he is gone. It sweeps him from his place. It hurls itself at him without pity. As he tries to flee from its power, it claps its hands at him and whistles at him from its place. Wow, man. That's like just, he's talking about people, you know what I mean? Just, wow. You know what I mean? Wow. Literally, he tries to flee from sin and it claps at him and whistles at him at a place. You know what I mean? The poem on wisdom. Okay. Chapter 28. Where is wisdom to be found? There is indeed a mine for silver and a place for refining gold. Iron is taken from the earth and a copper smelted out of stone. He sets a boundary for the darkness, and the farthest confines he explores. He breaks open a shaft far from the habitation, unknown to human feet, suspended far from people, they sway. The earth, though if it comes forth bread, is in fiery upheaval underneath. Its stones are the source of lapis lazuli, and there is gold in its dust. The path no bird of prey knows, nor has the hawk's eye seen it. The proud beasts have not trodden it, nor has the lion gone that way. He sets his hand to the flinty rock and overturns the mountains at their root. He splits channels in the rocks. His eyes up behold all that is precious. He dams up the sources of the streams and brings up hidden things to the light. As for wisdom, where can she be found? Where is the place of understanding? Mortals do not know her path, nor is she to be found in the land of living. The deep says she is not in me, and the sea says she is not with me. Solid gold cannot purchase her, nor can her price be paid with silver. She cannot be bought with gold of Ophir, with precious onyx or lapis lazuli. Gold or crystals cannot equal her, nor can golden vessels be exchanged for her. Neither coral nor crystal should be thought of. The value of wisdom surpasses pearls. Ethiopian topaz does not equal her, nor can she be weighed out for pure gold. As for wisdom, where does she come from? Where is the place of understanding? She is hidden from the eyes of every living thing. Even from the birds of the air she is concealed. Abaddon and Death say, only by rumor have we heard of her. But God understands the way to her. It is he who knows her place, for he beholds the ends of the earth, and sees all that is under the heavens. When he weighed out the wind and measured out the waters, when he made a rule for the rain and a path for the thunderbolts, then he saw wisdom and appraised her, established her and searched her out. And to mortals he said, see, the fear of the Lord is wisdom, and avoiding evil is understanding. Wow. The fear of the Lord is wisdom, and avoiding evil is understanding. That's why when we understand, we literally avoid evil, bro. You know what I mean? We understand they're gonna be like that. They understand we're not gonna change. They're not gonna change their ways. You know what I mean? Or their thinking. And like, chapter 28, verse 1 through 28. This chapter like contains a beautiful, vivid description of that wisdom is beyond the attainment of creatures and known only to God. The pronouns referring to wisdom may be translated as feminine or neuter, in view of wisdom's role as God's companion and partner in creation. The feminine is used here. There is no consciousness about the authorship of this poem. It may originally have been an independent composition incorporated into the book of Job. Dang, bro. That can even sounds like a girl, you know what I mean? Like, she cannot be brought with gold of Ophir. You know what I mean? Like, we can't buy girls. You know what I mean? If you do buy a girl, she's a hooker or whatever she is. You know what I mean? And this verse may be a later addition expressing a commonplace of the wisdom tradition. See cross-reference. The addition seems to tie with the poem and with the description of Job as fearing God and avoiding evil. Pretty much, bro. All right. Chapter 29. Job took up this theme again and said, "Oh, that I were as in the months past, as in the days when God watched over me, while he kept his lamp shining above my head, and by his light I walked through darkness. As I was in my flourishing days, when God shuttered my tent, when the Almighty was still with me, and my children were round about me, when my footsteps were bathed in cream, and the rock flowed with streams of oil. Excuse me. Whenever I went out to the gate of the city and took my seat in the square, the young man saw me and withdrew. The elders rose up and stood. Officials refrained from speaking and covered their mouths with their hands. The voice of the prince was silenced, and their tongues struck in the roofs of their mouths. The ear that heard blessed me. The eye that saw acclaimed me. For I rescued the poor who cried out for help, the orphans and the unassisted. The blessing of those in extremity came upon me, and the heart of the widow I made joyful. I wore my righteousness like a garment. Justice was my robe and my turban. I was eyes to the blind, and feet to the lame was I. I was a father to the poor. The complaint of the stranger I pursued, and I broke the jaws of the wicked man. From his teeth I forced the prey. I said, in my own nest I shall grow old. I shall multiply years like the phoenix. My root is speared out to the waters. The dew rests by night on my branches. My glory is fresh within me, and my bow is renewed in my hand. For me they listened and waited. They were silent for my counsel. Once I spoke, they said no more. But I received my pronouncement drop by drop. They waited for me as for the rain. They drank in my words like the spring rains. When I smiled on them, they could not believe it. They would not let light of my face be dimmed." Wow. So basically, this chapter begins Job's soliloquy, which will end in chapter 31, verse 40. He describes in florid and exaggerated terms his former lifestyle with all its blessings, a deliberate contrast to his current plight, which will be further described in chapter 30. You know what I mean? A phoenix is a legendary bird which after several centuries' life consumed itself in fire, then arose from its ashes in youthful freshness. Dang, so after a while, it gets back into its, like, freshness, like youthness. Wow. And then, okay. And then, after he said, they would not let the light of my face be dim, I decided their course and set their head. I lived like a king among the troops, like one who comforts mourners. Dang, talking to his friend. All right, chapter 30. But now they hold me in derision, who are younger than I, whose fathers I should have disdained, to rank with the dogs of my flock. Such strength as they had meant nothing to me. Their vigor had perished. In want and imitating hunger, they fled to the parched land, to the desolate wasteland by night. They plucked saltwort and shrubs. The roots of their broom plant were their food. They were banished from the community with an outcry like against a thief, to dwell on the slopes of the wadies and caves of sand and stone. Among the bushes they brayed, under the nettles they huddled together. Irresponsible of no account, they were driven out of the land. Yet now they sing of me in mockery. I have become a byword among them. They abhor me. They stand aloof. They do not hesitate to spit in my face, because he has loosened my bowstring and inflicted me. They have thrown off restraint in my presence. On my right, the young rabble rises up. They trip my feet. They build their approaches for my ruin. They tear up my path. They promote my ruin. No longer is there against them. As though a wide breach they advance. Amid the uproar, they come on in waves. Terror roll all over me. My dignity is driven out like the wind, and my well-being vanishes like a cloud. Wow. You know what I mean? The salt wort is found in salt marshes and are very sour to taste, eaten by extremely poor as a cooked vegetable. And then on when he's talking about because he has loosened my bowstring and inflicted me, God is the subject. You know what I mean? He disarmed and disabled me from the stuff that I had, And now my life ebbs from me. Days of affliction have taken hold of me. At night he pierces my bones. My sinews have no rest. With great difficulty I change my clothes. The collar of my tunic fits around my waist. He has cast me into the mire. I have become like dust and ashes. I cry to you, but you do not answer me. I stand, but you take no notice. You have turned into my tormentor, and with your strong hand you attack me. Wow, he's telling God, like, you hit me, like when I call out, you don't even answer me. Like, wow, bro. Like, you raise me up and drive me before the wind. I am tossed about by the tempest. Indeed, I know that you will return me to death, to the house destined for everyone alive. Yet should not a hand be held out to help a wretched person in distress? Do I not weep for the hardships of others? Was not my soul grieved for the poor? Yet when I looked for good, evil came. When I expected light, darkness came. My inward parts seethe and will not be stilled. Days of affliction have overtaken me. I go about in gloom without the sun. I rise and assemble and cry for help. I have become a brother to jackals and a companion to ostriches. My blackened skin falls away from me. My very frame is scorched by the heat. My lyre is turned to mourning, and my reed pipe is sounds of weeping. Wow, bro. So Job, here reference to God's harsh treatment of him. You know what I mean? In series of prefatory oaths, Job protests his innocence. Yeah, man. Here we go. Chapter 31. I made a covenant with my eyes not to gaze upon a virgin. What portion comes from God above? What heritage from the Almighty on high? It is not calamity for the unrighteous and woe for evildoers. Does he not see my ways and number all my steps? Have I not walked in falsehood, and my foot has hastened to deceit? Let God weigh me in the scales of justice. This will he know my innocence. If my steps have turned out the way, and my heart has followed my eyes, or any stain clings to my hands, then I may sow, but another eat, and may my produce be rooted up. If my heart has been enticed toward a woman, and I have lain in wait about my neighbor's door, then may my wife grind for another, and may others kneel over her. For that would be heinous, a crime to be condemned, a fire that would consume down to Abaddon. Basically saying that'd be ridiculous. You know what I mean? Why would he hasn't even done that at all, so why would he even do that? You know what I mean? And for him to even say that, for him to say others should kneel before him, he said that's wrong. You know what I mean? To uprooted all my crops. Had I refused justice to my manservant or to my maidservant when they had a complaint against me, what then should I do when God rises up? What could I answer when he demands an account? Did not he made me in the belly make him? Did not the same one fashion us in the womb? Have I denied anything that the poor desired, or allowed the eyes of the widow to languish? While I ate my portion alone, with no share in it for the fatherless, though like a father he has reared me from my youth, guiding me even from my mother's womb. If I have seen a wanderer without clothing, or a poor man without covering, whose limbs have not blessed me when warmed with the flints of my sheep, if I have raised my hand against the innocent, because I saw that I had supporters at the gate, then may my arm fall from the shoulder, my forearm be broken at the elbow, for I dread calamity from God, and his majesty will overpower me. Had I put my trust in gold, or called the fine gold my security, or had I rejoiced that my wealth was great, or had that my hand had acquired abundance, had I looked upon the light as it shone, or the moon in the splendor of its progress, and had my heart been secretly enticed to blow them a kiss with my hand. Wow. You know what I mean? Light. So when he means light, as it's shown, like of the sun. So Job never sinned by worshiping the sun or the moon. You know what I mean? Blow them a kiss. An act of a idolatrous worship. Wow. So blowing the sun and the moon a kiss is an act of idolatrous worship. I didn't even know that. No wonder people don't blow kisses, because why are we blowing kisses? And then this too would be a crime for condemnation. For I should have denied God above. Had I rejoiced at the destruction of my enemy, or exulted when evil came upon him, even though I had not allowed my mouth to sin by invoking a curse against his life, had not the men of my tent exclaimed, who has not been filled with his meat? No stranger logged in the street, for I opened my door to wayfarers. Had I, all too human, hidden my sins and buried my guilt in my bosom, because I feared the great multitude, and the scorn of the clans terrified me, then I should have remained silent and not come out of the doors. Oh, that I had one to hear my case. Here's my signature. Let the Almighty answer me. Let my accuser write out his indictment. Surely I should wear it on my shoulder, or put it on me like a diadem. For of all my steps I should give him an account. Like a prince I should present myself before him. If my land has cried out against me, till its furrows rep together, have I eaten its strength without payment, and grieved the hearts of its tenants. Then let the thorns grow instead of wheat, and stingweed instead of barley. The words of Job are ended. Wow, bro. So, like, the members of his extended family will testify to his hospitality, you know what I mean? And then Job's present protest is made, not in spite of hidden sins which he had been unwilling to disclose, but out of genuine innocence. All too human can also be translated like Adam. You know what I mean? This concluding bravado fits better after, you know what I mean, after these verses, after verse chapter 40, and then my signature, lit tau, the last letter of the Hebrew alphabet, shaped like a cross. Job issued a symphonia to God and challenged him to follow proper legal procedure as well. Wow. So, like, telling him to, like, you know what I mean? This is the way for them to talk to God of their Hebrew way of how he should, like, really answer him. And, like, on my shoulder, when he's saying on my shoulder, he's being boldly and proudly like a prince, not as a frightened criminal. And now let's get to chapter 2. Then the three men ceased to answer Job, because in his own eyes he was in the right. He really was, you know what I mean? He rebuked of all what they said, and you know what I mean? He finally realized what he wasn't saying was right, and you know. But the anger of Elihu, son of Beruchel, the Bezrite of the clan of Ram, was kindled. He was angry with Job for considering himself rather than God to be in the right. He was angry also with the three friends because they had not found a good answer and had not condemned Job. But since these men were older than he Eliu bided his time before addressing Job. When, however, Eliu, I don't know how to say his name, say that there was no reply in the mouths of three men, his wrath was inflamed. So Eliu, son of Baruchu Bizlite, answered and said, wow. So Eliu means my God is he. The speaker was from Buz. And he's basically, that guy is a young man. He is impetuous and impatient. And he upbraids Job for his boldness towards God and these friends for not successfully answering Job. He undertakes to defend God's absolute justice and to explain more clearly why they are suffering, while fundamentally his position is the same as that of the three friends. He locates the place of suffering in the divine plan, because Elihu's four speeches repeat the substance of the earlier arguments of those three friends and also anticipate the content of the divine speeches. Many scholars consider them a later addition to the book. So basically, you know what I mean? That's where we're getting a little description of the young man and what he's about to test about Job. And he says, I am young and you are very old. Therefore I held back and was afraid to declare to you my knowledge. I thought days should speak and many years teach wisdom. But there is a spirit in human beings, the breath of the Almighty that gives them understanding. It is not those of many days who are wise, nor the aged who understand the right. Therefore I say, listen to me. I also declare my knowledge. Behold, I have waited for your words, have given ear to your arguments, as you search out what to say. Yes, I followed you attentively. I look, none of you has convicted Job. Not one could refute his statements. So do not say, we have met wisdom. God can vanquish him, but no mortal. For had he addressed his words to me, I would not then have answered him with your words. They are dismayed, they make no more reply. Words fail them. Must I wait? Now that they speak no more and have ceased to make reply, I too will speak my part. I also will declare my knowledge. For I am full of words, and the spirit within me compels me. My belly is like unopened wine, like wineskins ready to burst. Let me speak and obtain relief. Let me open my lips and reply. I will not be partial to anyone, nor giving flattering titles to any. For I know nothing of flattery. If I did, my Maker would soon take me away. So basically, he's being like, I'm going to be straight up with you, bro. You know, I ain't going to sugarcoat this. You know what I mean? So, here we go. Chapter 33. Therefore, O Job, hear my discourse. Listen to all my words. Behold, now I open my mouth. So, this is that young Elihu guy. My tongue and voice form words. I will state directly what is in my mind. My lips shall speak knowledge clearly, for the Spirit of God made me. The breath of the Almighty keeps me alive. If you are able, refute me. Draw up your arguments and take your stand. Look, I am like you before God. I too was pinched from clay. Therefore fear of me should not dismay you, nor should I weigh heavily upon you. But you have said in my hearing, as I listen to the sound of your words, I am clean without transgression. I am innocent. There is no guilt in me. Yet he invents pretexts against me and counts me as an enemy. He puts my feet in the stocks, watches all my past. In this you are not just. Let me tell you. For God is greater than mortals. Why? Then do you make complaint against him, that he gives no reply to their words? For God does speak once, even twice, though you do not see it. In a dream, in a vision of the night, when the deep sleep falls upon mortals as they slumber in their beds, it is then he opens their ears, and with a warning terrifies them, by turning mortals from acting and keeping pride away from a man. He holds his soul from the pit, his life from passing to the grave. Or is he chastened on a bed of pain, suffering continually in his bones, so that his appetite food is repulsive, his throat rejects the choicest nourishment, his flesh is wasted, it cannot be seen, bones once invisible appear, his soul draws near to the pit, his life to the place of the dead. If then there be a divine messenger, a meditator, one of out of thousands, to show him what is right, he will take pity on him and say, deliver him from going down to the pit. I have found him a ransom. Then his flesh shall become soft as a boy. He shall be again as in the days of his youth. He shall pray and God will favor him. He shall see God's face with rejoicing. Get a quick drink real quick. For the restores a person righteousness. He shall sing before all and say, I sinned and did wrong, yet I was not punished accordingly. He delivered me from the passing to the pit, and my life sees light. See, all these things God does, 2, even 3 times for a man, bringing back his soul from the pit to the light, in the light of the living. Be attentive, Job, listen to me. Be silent, and I will speak. If you have anything to say, then answer me. Speak out. I should like to see you justify. If not, then you listen to me. Be silent, and I will teach you wisdom. Whoa, youngin, trying to talk on Job when Job's all about God. Let's see. Then Inu answered and said, Hear my discourse, that you are wise, you that have knowledge, listen to me. For the ear tests words, and the palate tastes food right. Let us choose what is right. Let us determine among ourselves what is good. For Job has said, I am innocent, but God has taken away what is my right. I declare the judgment on me to be a lie. My arrowed wound is incurable, sinless though I am. What man is like Job? He drinks and blasphemies like water, keeps company with evildoers, and goes along with the wicked. When he says there is no profit in pleasing God, therefore you have understanding, hear me. Far it be from God to do wickedness, far from the Almighty to do wrong. Wow. So, pitch from clay is a reference tradition of human beings were made from clay. You know what I mean? That's what their tradition is. Humans were made of, and like Elihu asserts that God speaks through warning and dreams and also through pain. However, his presupposition is that the restored person admits sinfulness. This, of course, is not relative to Job's situation because, you know what I mean? Divine messenger or an angel, one of thousands who serve as a meditator. So, out of those one people you'll ever see, you're going to meet one that's strictly about God, and you know what I mean? You're going to get what God would treat you like, And then Elihu, his reply in chapter 34, verse 1, although no one has spoken, this connected phrase may indicate that speeches of Elihu are a secondary addition to the book. So if they didn't answer him right away, he just went and spoke again, you know what I mean? And off to what he was saying was far from the Almighty to do wrong. Rather, he requites mortals for their conduct and brings home to them their way of life. Surely God cannot act wickedly. The Almighty cannot pervert justice, who gave him charge over the earth, who set all the world in its place. If he were to set his mind to it, gather to himself his spirit and breath, all flesh would perish together, and mortals return to dust. Now you, understand, hear this. Listen to the words I speak. Can an enemy of justice be in control? Will you condemn the supreme just one? Who says to a king, you are worthless, and to the nobles, you are wicked? Who neither favors the person of princes, nor respects the rich more than the poor? For they are all works of his hands. In a moment they die, even at midnight. People are shaken and pass away. The powerful are removed without lifting a hand. For his eyes are upon our ways, and all our steps he sees. There is no darkness so dense that evildoers can hide in it. For no one has God set a time to come before him in judgment. Without inquiry, he shatters the mighty and appoints others in their place. Thus he discerns their works. Overnight they are crushed. Where the wicked are, he strikes them, in a place where all can see, because they turned away from him and did not understand his ways at all, and made the cry of the poor reach him, and so that he heard of the cry of the afflicted. If he is silent, who then can condemn? If he hides his face, who then can behold him? Whether nation or individual, let an impious man not rule, nor these who ensnare their people. Should any one say to God, I accept my punishment, I will offend no more. What if I cannot see? Touch me. If I have done wrong, I will do so no more. Would you then say God must punish them when you are disdainful? It is you who must choose, not I. Speak, therefore, what you know. Those who understand will say to me, all the wise who hear my views, Job speaks without knowledge, his words make no sense. Dang, man. Let Job be tested to the limit, since his answers are those of the imperious, for he is adding rebellion to his sin by brushing off our arguments and addressing many words to God. So Enio turns Job and addresses him directly. You know what I mean? He's talking to him, who says to a king you are worthless, and to the nobles you are wicked. You know what I mean? It's the opposite. You know what I mean? And so, like, and a reply to you, like, Elihu refers to Job's statement that the innocent suffer as much as the wicked, and especially to Ep.5's words. The text, you know what I mean? I'm saying the text here, but that's for chapter 35 where we're about to read right now. And it just gives a little, you know what I mean? Analyzation about it, of what we're reading, you know what I mean? Because it is kind of hard to analyze it and to understand everything what he's really talking about, Chapter 35. Then Enyo answered and said, do you think it is right to say I am in the right, not God? When you ask what it profits you, what advantage do I have from not sinning? I have words for a reply to you and your friends as well. Look up to the skies and see, behold, the heavens are above you. If you sin, what do you do to God? Even if your offenses are many, how do you affect him? If you are righteous, what do you give him? Or what does he receive from your hand? Your wickedness affects only someone like yourself, and your justice only a fellow human being. In great oppression, people cry out. They cry for help because of the power of the great. No one says, where is God, my maker, who gives songs in the night, teaches us more than the beasts of the earth, and makes us wiser than the birds of the heavens? Though thus they cry out, he does not answer, because the pride of the wicked. But it is idle to say God does not hear, or that the Almighty does not take notice. Even though you say you take no notice of it, the case is before him with trembling weight upon him. But now that you have done otherwise, God angers, punishes, nor does he show much concern over a life. Yet Job to no purpose opened his mouth, multiplying words without knowledge. So, like, you know what I mean? This text here is uncertain. It seems to indicate that Job should have realized God's indifference is only apparent, and that because he has not done so, God will punish him. Dang. So chapter 36. And then you continue and said, so he's still talking, wait a little, and I will instruct you, for there are still words to be said for God. I will assemble arguments far afar, and for my Maker I will establish what is right. For indeed my words are not a lie. One perfect in knowledge is before you. Look, God is great, not disdainful. His strength of a purpose is great. He does not preserve the life of the wicked. He established the right of the poor. He does not divert his eyes from the just, but he seats them upon thrones. With kings exalted forever, if they are bound with fetters, held fast by bonds of affliction, he lets them know what they have done and how arrogant are their sins. He opens their ears to correction and tells them to turn back from evil. If they listen and serve him, they spend their days in prosperity, their years in happiness. But if they do not listen, they pass to the grave. They perish for lack of knowledge. The imperious in heart lay up anger. They do not cry for help when he binds them. They will die young, their life among reprobate. But he saves the afflicted through their affliction, and opens their ears through oppression. He entices you from distress to a broad place without constraint. What rests on your table is rich food. Though you are full of judgment of the wicked, judgment and justice will be maintained. Let not anger at abundance entice you, nor great bribery lead you astray. Will your wealth equip you against distress, or all your exertions of strength? Do not long for the night, when peoples vanish in their place. Be careful, do not turn to evil, for this you have preferred to affliction. Look, God is exalted in his power. What teacher is there like him? What prescribes for him his way? Who says you have done wrong? Remember, you should extol his work, which people have praised in song. All humankind beholds it, everyone views it from afar. See, God is great beyond our knowledge. The number of his years past searching out. His holds in check the water drops that filter and rain from his flood, till the clouds flow with them, and they rain down all the humankind. Can anyone understand the spreading clouds? No. The thunderings from his tent? Look, he spreads his light over it. It covers the root of the sea, for by he judges the nations and gives food in abundance. In his hands he holds the lightning, and he commands it to strike the mark. His thunder announces him and incites the fury of the storm. Wow, bro. So basically, what he's saying, life, is miserable life before death or a shadowy existence shroud. And the Hebrew text here is obscure. Although each verses make some sense, they do not constitute a logical sequence. They don't. They go like from left and right, and like feels like he's just like jumping everywhere what he's saying, And these verses serve as an introduction to the hymn about the divine marvels, which in some respects anticipate the tone and content of the Lord's speeches in chapters 38 to 41. The translations of these verses is uncertain. Wow. And chapter 37 is still going, so the clouds too are laden with moisture. The storm cloud scatters its light. It is who changes their rounds according to his plans, to do all that he commands them. Across the inhabitant world, whether for punishment or mercy, he makes it happen. Listen to this, Job. Stand and consider the marvels of God. Do you know how God lays his commands upon them and make the light shine forth from his clouds? Do you know how the clouds are banked, the marvels of him who is imperfect in knowledge? You who swelter in your clothes, when calm lies over the land from the south, can you with him spread out the fermentation of the skies, hard as a molten mirror? Teach us then what we shall say to him. We cannot for the darkness make our plea. Will he be told about it when I speak? Can anyone talk when he is being destroyed? Rather, it is as the light that cannot be seen, while it is obscured by the clouds, till the wind comes by and sweeps them. From saffron the golden splendor comes, surrounding God's awesome majesty. The Almighty, we cannot find him. Permanent in power and judgment, abundant in justice, who never oppresses. Therefore, people fear him. None can see him, however wise their hearts. Wow, you know what I mean? So, basically, chapter 37, verses 12 to 13, it's uncertain, And then 18, the mirror. The ancients thought of the sky as a ceiling above which the upper waters. When this ceiling became as hard as metal, the unusual rain fell to fall on earth. So basically, wow, they're basically saying like the water is like represent of heaven, just a little bit. And then Enu argues that even though God seems not to know our circumstances, he does know them, just as surely as the sun shines behind the clouds. And it's true, bro. He does know what we're going through, even though we may not think he knows what we're going through. You know what I mean? And Saffron, the mythical mountain of the gods. And then, okay, so now we're going to get into chapter 38. The Lord and Job meet. So he had a conversation of why he was going through what he was going through, why he questioned everything, the existence of himself, the works, his friends, and then they try to tell him that it wasn't really all that, but maybe God is doing that because you're acting like that. And he's saying that that's not right. No matter what, it should be good. And this youngin comes in, bro, and tells him, bro, like, that's all what you guys are saying is wrong, bro. You know what I mean? God, like, he's telling them God knows everything, bro, and he's doing this for a reason. You know what I mean? Like, for punishment or for mercy or to make him this way. You know what I mean? Dang. That youngin was really spitting to that homie. You know what I mean? And it's true. Like, he even says at the last verse, therefore people fear him. None can see him, however wise their hearts. You know what I mean? We don't see him, but we wise our hearts. You know what I mean? Blessed are those who have not seen but believe. You know what I mean? It's true. So now let's get into it. That was a long conversation of talk I've ever heard a conversation prologue. That was a real prologue right there. So now we're getting to the Lord and Job meet. All right. Chapter 38. Then the Lord answered Job out of the storm and said, "Who is this who darkens counsels with words of ignorance?" Who is this who darkens counsel with words of ignorance? Wow, bro. A word of ignorance. That's like basically saying, why are you questioning me? Like, why are you having a wicked console, a dark console, and questioning my, like, you know what I mean? Like, who's talking like this? He's saying like that. And he comes right out the storm. Gird up your loins now like a man. I will question you, and you tell me the answers. Where were you when I founded the earth? Tell me, if you have understanding, who determined its size? Surely you know, who stretched out the measuring line for it? Into what were its pedestals sunk, and who laid its cornerstone? While the morning stars sang together, and the sons of God shouted for joy. Who shut within doors the sea, when it burst forth from the womb? When I made the clouds its garment, and thick darkness its swaddling pants? When I set limits for it, and fastened the bar of its door, and said, Thus far shall you come, but no further, and here shall your proud waves stop? Have you ever in your lifetime commanded the morning, and shown in the dawn its place, for taking hold of the ends of the earth till the wicked are shaken from it? The earth is changed as clay by the seal, and dyed like a garment. But far from the wicked their light is withheld, and the arm of pride is shattered. Have you entered into the sources of the sea, or walked about the bottom of the deep? Have the gates of death been shown to you, or have you seen the gates of darkness? Have you comprehended the breadth of the earth? Tell me, if you know it all, what is the way to the dwelling of light and darkness? Where is it placed? That you may take it to its territory and know the path to its home. You know because you were born then, and the number of your days is great. Have you entered the storehouses of the snow, and seen the storehouses of the hail, which I have reserved for times of distress, for a day of war and battle? Wow, man. Wow. What is the way to the parting of the winds, where the east wind spreads over the earth? Who has laid out a channel for the downpour, and path of the thunderstorm, to bring rain to inhabited land, the unpeopled wilderness, to drench the desolate wasteland, till the desert blooms with verdure? Has the rain a father? Who has begotten the drops of dew? Out of the wombs comes the ice, and who gives the hoarfrost its birth in the skies? When the waters lie covered as though with stone, that holds captive the surface of the deep. Have you tied cords to the Pleiades, or loosened the bonds of Orion? Can you bring forth the Mazzaroth in their season, and guide the bear with her children? Do you know the ordinance of the heavens? Can you put into effect their plan on the earth? Can you raise your voice to the clouds, for them to cover you with the dulge of waters? Can you send forth the lightnings on their way, so that they say to you, Here we are? Who gives wisdom to the Ebius, and gives the rooster understanding? Who counts the clouds with wisdom? Who tilts the water jars of heaven, so that the dust of earth is fused into a mass, and its clods stick together? Do you hunt the prey for the lion, or appease the hunger of young lions, while they crouch in their dens, or lie in ambush in their thicket? Who provides nourishment for the raven when its young cry out to God, wandering about without food? Wow. So Pleiades, Orion, and Bear, Mazdaros is uncertain what astronomical group is meant by his Hebrew root, perhaps a southern constellation. So he's just talking about animals, pretty much. Ebius, rooster, the translation is uncertain. Okay, so now we're getting to chapter 39, and he's still, the Lord still He's still answering Job out of the storm. You know what I mean? Do you know when mountain goats are born? Or watch for the birth pangs of deer? Number the months that they must fulfill, or know when they give birth? When they crouch down and drop their young, when they deliver their progeny, their offspring thrive and grow in the open, they leave and do not return. Who has given the wild donkey his freedom, and who has loosed the wild ass from bonds? Dang, he cussed. I have made the wilderness his home, and the salt flats his dwelling. He scoffs at the uproar of the city, hears no shouts of a driver. He ranges the mountains for pasture and seek out every patch of green. Will the wild ox consent to serve you, or pass the nights at your manger? Will you bind the wild ox with a rope in the furrow, and he will plow the valleys after you? Will he depend on him for his great strength, and leave to him the fruits of your toil? Can you rely on him to bring in your grain, and gather in the yield of your threshing floor? The wings of the ostrich flap away, and her plumage is lacking in feathers. When she abandons her egg on the ground and lets them warm in the sand, she forgets that a foot may crush them, that the wild beasts may trample them. She cruelly disowns her young, and her labor is useless. She has no fear. For God has withheld wisdom from her and given her no share in understanding. Yet, when she spreads her wings high, she laughs at a horse and rider. Do you give the horse his strength and cloth his neck with a mane? Do you make him quiver like a locust while his thunderous snorting spreads terror? He paws the valley, he rejoices in strength and charges into battle. He laughs at fear and cannot be terrified. He does not retreat from the sword. Around him rattles the quiver, flashes the spear and the javelin. Finn's eyes and trembling, he devours the ground. He does not hold back at the sound of the trumpet. At the trumpet's call, he calls, "Aha!" Even from afar, he sensed the battle, the roar of the officers, and the shouting. Wow, you know what I mean? So the rings of the ostrich cannot raise her from the ground, but they help her to run swiftly. And then verses 14 to 16, people thought that because the ostrich laid her eggs on the sand, she was thereby cruelly abandoning them. And then verses 19 to 25, what we just read, is a classic description of a war horse. You know what I mean? And wow, bro, I didn't know ostriches did that, bro. Leave their eggs like that. Literally. Like, not even caring, bro. That's kind of sad. And then, is it by your understanding that the hawk soars, though he spreads his wings toward the south? Does the eagle fly up at your command to build his nest up high? On a cliff he dwells and spends the night on the spur of cliff or fortress. From where he watches for his food, his hides behold it afar. His young ones greedily drink blood. Where the slain there is he. All right, so we're getting to chapter 40. Then the Lord then answered Job and said, will one who argues with the Almighty be corrected? Let him who heard instruct God give answer. Then Job answered the Lord and said, look, I am of little account. What can I answer you? I put my hand over my mouth. I have spoken once. I will not reply. Twice, but I will do so no more. Then the Lord answered Job out of the storm and said, gird up your loins now. Like a man, I will question you, and you will tell me the answers. Would you refuse to acknowledge my right? Would you condemn me that you may be justified? Have you an arm like that of God? Or can you thunder with a voice like his? Adorn yourself with grandeur and majesty, and clothe yourself with glory and splendor. Let loose the fury of your wrath. Look at everyone who is proud and bring them down. Look at everyone who is proud and humble them. Tear down the wicked in their place, bury them in the dust together. In the hidden world, imprison them. There will I too praise you, for your own right hand can save you. Look at Bethlehem, whom I have made along with you, who feeds on grass like an ox. See the strength in his loins, the power of the sinews of his belly. He carries his tail like a cedar. The sinews of his thighs are like cables. His bones are like tubes of bronze. His limbs are like iron rods. He is the first of God's ways. Only his maker can approach him with a sword. For the mountains bring him produce, and all the wild animals make sport there. Under lotus trees he lies, and coverts of the reedy swamp. The lotus trees covers him with their shade. All about him are the poplars in the wadi. If the water grows violent, he is not disturbed. He is tranquil through the Jordan surges about his mouth. Who can capture him by his eye, or pierce his nose with the trap? Can you lead Lithron about with a hook, or tie down his tongue with a rope? Can you put a ring into his nose, or pierce through his cheek with a gaff? Will he then plead with you time after time and address you with tender words? Will he make a covenant with you that you may have him as a slave forever? Can you play with him as with a bird? Can you tie him up for your little girls? Will the traders bargain for him? Will the merchants divide him up? Can you fill his hide with harps, or his head with fish spears? Once you but lay a hand upon him, no need to recall on any other conflict. Wow, man. Job's first reaction is humble, but also seemingly cautious. This issue is joined in these verses, and the Lord seems to challenge Job to play God and to bring down the proud and the wicked. Wow, he's like basically saying, can you do that? Can you do this? If you know this is going to happen, can you do that? You know what I mean? Like, wow, bro. And Behemoth, a primeval monster of chaos, identified by some scholars as the hippopotamus on which the description of Behemoth is partially based. The point of the Behemoth passages is that only the Lord, not Job, can control the cosmic evil which these forces symbolizes. And it's true, you know what I mean? Only the Lord knows what darkness is between darkness. And Leviathan, I don't know how to pronounce that word. Although it's identified by some scholars as the crocodile, it is more likely another chaos monster. Leviathan. And then merchants, Canaanites, whose reputation for trading was so widespread that their name came to be used for merchants. Wow, I didn't know that about the Canaanites. All right, so now we're going to chapter 41. Whoever might faintly hope to do so need only see him to be overthrown. No one is fierce enough to arouse him. Who then dares stand before me? Whoever has assailed me, I will pay him back. Everything under the heavens is mine. I need hardly mention his limbs, his strength, and the fitness of his equipment. Who can strip off his outer garment of penetrate his double armor? Excuse me. Who can force open the doors of his face, close to his terrible teeth? Rows of scales are on his back, tightly sealed together. They are fitted so close to each other that no air can come between them, so joined to one another that they hold fast and cannot be parted. When he sneezes, light flashes forth. His light are like the eyelids of the dawn. Out of his mouth go forth torches. Sparks of fire leap forth. From his nostrils comes smoke, as from a seething pot or bowl. His breath sets coal of fire. A flame comes from his mouth. Strength abides in his neck, and power leaps before him. The folds of his flesh stick together. It is cast over him and immovable. His heart is cast as hard as stone, cast as a lower millstone. When he rises up, the gods are afraid. When he crashes down, they fall back. Should a sword reach him, it will not avail, nor will spear, dart, or javelin. He regards iron as chaff and bronze as rotten wood. No arrow will put him into flight. Sling stones used against him are but straw. Clubs he regards as straw. He laughs at the crash of the spear. Under him are sharp pottery fragments, spreading the threshing sledge upon the mire. He makes the depths boil like a pot. He makes the sea like a perfume bottle. Behind him he leaves the shining path. You would think the deep had white hair. Upon the earth there is none like him. He was made fearless. He looks over all who are... He makes the depths boil like a pot. He makes the sea like a perfume bottle. Behind him leaves the shining path. You would think the deep had white hair. Upon earth there is none like him. He was made fearless. He looks over all who are haughty. He is king over all proud beasts. man, bro, these words are hard to say, bro. Like, I've never experienced so many hard words to say, bro. Like, forgive me for not saying these words right or anything like that. And then we're going to get to chapter 42. And then Job answered the Lord and said, I know that you can do all things and that no purpose of yours can be hindered. Who is this who obscures counsel with ignorance? I have spoken but did not understand. Things too marvelous for me which I do not know. Dang, so he answered his first question right away. Like, he was the one that spoke against him, but he did not understand like the things that were going for him. Like he did not know. And listen, I will speak. I will question you, and you will tell me the answers. By hearsay I heard of you, but now my eye has seen you. Therefore I disown what I have said and repent in dust and ashes. So he seen the Lord and heard the Lord. So he basically, you know what I mean? Like literally in his final speech, Job quotes God's own words. Like I said, he literally did. And then like Job have affirmed a hope to see 3 times his vindicator. Now he has seen the Lord about whom he had heard so much. You know what I mean? And then chapter 6, verse, you know what I mean? This is the last page, you know what I mean? Wow, this is the longest story I've ever read. Let me keep reading chapter 42. So after like he repent in dust and ashes, those were just like little abbreviations of what was said through chapter 42, but it keeps going on in its epilogue. So it's Job's restoration. And after the Lord had spoken these words to Job, the Lord said to Ep.5 the Temanite, my anger blazes against you and your 2 friends. You have not spoken rightly concerning me, as has my servant Job. So now take 7 bulls and 7 rams, and go to my servant Job, and sacrifice a burnt offering for yourselves, and let my servant Job pray for you. To him I will show favor, and not punish your folly, for you have not spoken rightly concerning me, as has my servant Job. Then Ep.5 the Temanite, and Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite went and did as the Lord had commanded them. The Lord showed favor to Job. The Lord also restored the prosperity of Job after he had prayed for his friends. The Lord even gave to Job twice as much as he had before. Then all his brothers and sisters came to him, and all his foreigner acquaintances, and they dined with him in his house. They consoled and comforted him for all the evil the Lord had brought upon him, and each one gave him a piece of money and a gold ring. Thus the Lord blessed the later days of Job more than his earlier ones. Now he had 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, and 1,000 yokes of oxen, and 1,000 she-donkeys. He had also had 7 sons and 3 daughters. The first daughter he called Jeminiah, the second Keziah, and the third Corin Hapuch. I don't know if I said that right. And all the land, no other woman were as beautiful as the daughters of Job, and their father gave them inheritance among their brothers. After this, Job lived 140 years, and he saw his children, his grandchildren, and even his great-grandchildren. Then Job died, old and full of years. Wow, bro. Wow. Longest story. I don't know if you guys are watching. If you guys do, I'm happy you guys did. You guys could, you know what I mean, have this playing, listen to it, you know what I mean, try to understand more than what I can understand for you guys. But like, basically, you know, the 3 friends of Job, Ithu is ignored in the Iblu, like, they're basically are criticized by the Lord because they had not spoken rightly. And it's true, bro. Like, they were trying to say that God was really punishing him for all that stuff, you know what I mean? But it really wasn't, you know what I mean? And that's messed up, because those were 3 of his greatest, like, close friends, you know what I mean? And like the ironic like touch, like, and he told him, go and do burnt offerings for me, to repent of what you said to me, pretty much, you know what I mean? And like Job becomes the intercessor for his friends, you know what I mean? He starts praying for them, you know what I mean? And like, And this is for like find damage inflicted upon another. Like when we do this to each other, you know what I mean? We both need to go pray to God and both ask for forgiveness, you know? And then like Job's daughters, like their names are symbolic of their charms. Like Jeminiah is a dove, and Kizia is a precious perfume, and Karen Hapach is cosmetic jar. More precisely, a container for black powder used like a modern mascara. And then basically what he meant was for like their fathers gave them inheritance among their brothers is like ordinary daughters did not inherit property unless they were no sons. So he gave them, property with, you know what I mean, saying, hey, you also are gonna inherit the inheritance, And wow, bro. That's the book of Job. What we learned from Job, man. That right there is powerful, you know what I mean? That shows like us how we can be like that, how we can have everything, all of it, wife, children, the land, all of it, and the devil, you know what I mean, really made a plan to make sure make sure he'll never go back to God. And what happened? Yeah, Job got mad and he asked why the Lord was doing this to him, and question him, and then question his existence, question what he was doing. And then his friends came, try to comfort him, but really they were making it worse, and they were telling him that God is doing this because of that, but then he's telling them God wouldn't do that to him at all. And then a youngin comes in and emphasizes more about Job, you know what I mean? And he was right, you know what I mean? No, like it's only God to do what he wants to do, you know what I mean? He let the devil do that to Job, you know what I mean? So he was telling him God knows our circumstances. He doesn't not just, when we cry out to him, he does not listen. He listens, bro. He listens when we cry to him. He listens when we just want to talk to him. Even if it's for 5 seconds, he will listen to you, bro. It's amazing. And then, he realizes all what he says, and then the Lord comes to him, bro, out of the storm, bro, and they talk. You know what I mean? They talk, and they go, and it's crazy that he didn't say to Job that this was the devil's doing and not mine. You know what I mean? He could have easily came to him and be like, hey, Job, all that thing you were going through was because of the devil and not me, and we made a bet on him. But he didn't, bro, because he saw that Job still had love for him and still wasn't anointed. So even when they talked about what happened, and it wasn't about the deal with he had with the devil, Job still loved God, bro, and repent of what he said to, you know what I mean, questioning him and why he did those things to him. He repent, and we do that too. And it's best that we do that, because at that moment we feel like that. Why is God doing that? But at the same time, he's showing us why. You know what I mean? And the reason is in that why and what suffering you're going through. You know what I mean? He's not just going to put you through that for no reason. He's really not. And I'm glad that we read this story, even though it's really long. Thank you for tuning in and watching. I'm blessed for you guys to hear the gospel, and I pray that you guys keep reading the gospel, even if I don't spread it out as much as I can. But nevertheless, that was the story of Job. And after he repented of all what he said, he got twice as much as what he did at his first start, bro. You know what I mean? Thousands of animals, and he got more daughters back. You know what I mean? And he appreciated them more, and he named them after, you know what I mean, after fine things of what they called back then. And that could be us sometimes, you know what I mean? We can question God, you know what I mean? Everything's going so good, and then out of nowhere it's all bad. This happens, that, this and that, and, you know what I mean? Broken tire, you know, girlfriend leaves, or a whole bunch of stuff, you know what I mean? We still have to thank God for it, because without him, we are nothing, and with him, we are everything, and he alone knows what's best for us, you know what I mean? If he wants us out of that friend group, he's going to have those friends hurt us. If he wants us away from that girl we can't get away, that fling, he's going to have that girl hurt us. So we can understand that we need to go to him for everything. He provides everything. He really does. And it comes in perfect timing. Only his timing is perfect. But enough of me yapping. Thank you for tuning in and watching. And share with your friends, like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, let me say a prayer over you guys. God bless you guys. Please be safe from wherever you are at or whatever you're doing. Almighty God and oh Jesus, please watch over whoever watched this video and all those out in the world that do not know God or know of the gospel. Pray they may hear it, and may the Lord touch their heart as he has touched mine. In Jesus' name, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen.